Go to TAPgiles.com to learn dreams, engage my services, and support the channel. Recently there was a new patch with some new settings for old gadgets. So I thought I'd show you how those work, because some of them are a touch unexpected. This is all similar to trigger zones. So we have a trigger zone, it's got a zone, and it can look for stuff like tags. So let's make a tag, and I'll give it a name, G. And I'll use that name in here. I'll use up and down on the D-pad, and that cycles through the names in the scene. Cool, so now when this is in the zone, it finds it, and that lights up, and it sends a signal from detected. But you can say it has this detection scope, and one option is everywhere and here and not here. So this is kind of to do with groups. So if we put that, if we just have that out here actually, if we group those up and we hide everything else, then when it's on here mode, it'll only find tags inside the group that the trigger zone is in. So if we move that outside, it's not finding anything now, and we'll copy that and bring it outside the group by scoping out while holding it. And now this is G, another G tag, so it should find it. But if we put that in that zone, it's not finding it because it's not inside the group that the trigger zone is in. And it can be in like subgroups. So if I have like those in a group by themselves, this is a group inside the larger group with all this stuff in, but it still finds it because it's like within the trigger zones group or a subgroup of it. So that's kind of how here is defined, and then not here is it'll only find it if it's not in the subgroup. So this is inside the same group, it doesn't, then it ignores it. And then this is not in the same group, so we put that in the zone, and then it finds it because this is not here with the trigger zone. And then everywhere is it doesn't care if it's in the group or not, it will find it. So that's what scoping is. So that's trigger zones. That's been there since the beginning, but some new gadgets have this working for them as well now. So for example, there's the follower gadget. So if I just make a sculpt and snap that on there, just make it a different color. So this this targets a tag with a name, so we'll make another G tag. Give that the name G. Use G in there. Okay, and then it will move to that tag wherever it is. But if this is inside a group, for example, let's just have a squiggle of paint, and we'll group those up. If we say that it has to be here inside the group with the follower gadget, then it won't find this tag even though it's in the in range. It'll only find it if we have that scoped into that group, just like the trigger zone. And if it's not here, then it'll only find it if it's not inside the group with the follower. Similar thing goes for the look at rotator. So I'll have that look for the G tag, and it finds it because it's looking everywhere. If it was looking here inside its own group, then it's not finding it because it's not inside the group, and not here would find it only if it's not inside the group, like that. Teleporters also look for a tag, so that'll teleport to it. It's got the here mode, so that tag isn't inside the group, so it don't care. If it's looking for stuff outside the group, then it'll find that tag and snap to it. Also, laser scopes. Look for the tag. So it's aiming towards that tag, but now it doesn't care because it's not inside the group. and now it looks outside the group for the tag, so it finds it. So there are a few other gadgets with this setting added that work a little differently to that though. So for example, we have the exclusive gate. The exclusive gate only has two settings for scope, here and everywhere. It doesn't look for not here. So exclusive gates, you give it like a name. We'll give it the name G again. So these both have the name G. When we send it a signal, because it's on manual mode, it will open that one and close any of the others that are called the same thing. So I'll wire this into interrupt also to make this work, and I'll do the same for here. So when I turn one on, it interrupts any of the others that are open and closes them, and then it opens this one, and that'll do the same like that. And that doesn't matter where it is in the scene, because these are on the default of everywhere scope. But if these were in a group together, if I just add like this separate one over here, so this is I'll make this a different color. This is outside the group. Same setup. So normally these are all part of the same kind of set because they all have the same name, so they all interrupt each other. But if we go and set these to here, then it makes a new set just with the same named things that are marked as here inside this group. So now these can be on and interrupt each other, but this will be completely separate to it and have its own set it's part of. So you could have like other things over here, and it doesn't affect the ones inside that group because these are set up as their own thing, just with that here setting. So that's cool. Exclusive gates can be used for stuff like animations inside and modes and things inside a character. So if you have before, without that setting, if you had two copies of that same character, they'd mess with each other's settings and modes and animation timings because they all just had the same name. But now you can set them to here, and it won't affect the other character because the other character has its own group going on. So that's cool. And then there's these other gadgets which have the setting like variables. This doesn't have the setting, but a variable modifier has the setting over here. But it works a little strangely, it might seem, because the setting is on here, but the here-ness definition is based on where the variable is. So with the trigger zone, you set it to here, and then the trigger zone gadget, the gadget that setting is on, it will look in that group for tags to affect and be affected by. But with the variable modifier, that is talking about the variable. So what is this inside the group of the variable? If it is, then this is here. So you kind of look at it from the variable's perspective, and it looks in its own group for variable modifiers that say here, and then it allows it to be affected by that variable modifier. So it's a little kind of, I found it counterintuitive because it was kind of the opposite way of how trigger zones work. But the key is to understand that the perspective is from this. So if you think about it with the trigger zone is looking for tags. And then, but with variables, the variable modifier isn't looking for variables. The variable is looking for variable modifiers. That seems to be how it's processed within the engine. So if we give this the name G and have this add 1 to it and put it on the default of everywhere, and we've got to set that to G so that it affects that. Okay, so if we play time and then we turn this on, then it adds 1 to the variable g. Okay, and then if we have this looking here and we make a that's inside a group like that. Okay, now we try it. We turn this on, and if it was from the perspective of this, like a trigger zone, it would look inside the scope of this, the group of that this is in, and it's not in any group, so it would find everything in the scene, and then it would find this variable over here and then add to it. But what's actually happening is this is saying I'm going to look for variables and see what variables are powered this frame and be affected by the right ones. So have I got any variables inside the group that are marked here or everywhere? No, I haven't. Have I got any variables outside the group that are marked not here or everywhere? No, I haven't, because that's not marked not here. Have I got any variables that are anywhere in the whole thing that are marked everywhere? No, I haven't, because that's not marked everywhere. So it doesn't find any variable modifiers, so it doesn't get affected by any variable modifiers. Now, if it was saying not here, it would go through the same process. It would start in here. It would start in here and say, is there any variables, are there any variables inside the group that is marked as everywhere or here? And there's not. And then it will go outside the group and say, are there any variable modifiers marked as not here or everywhere? And it finds one that is marked as not here with the right, targeting the right name, so then it gets affected by it. So now if you play time and then turn that on, it gets affected by it. Yay! So, and then if I just close the loop and put that in here, and that was set to here, that is in the group of the variable, so the variable finds the modifier and is affected by it, so then it gets 1 added to it. So this means you can have local variables. So before we could still have local variables, quote unquote, but with some like shenanigans, but now we can just use actual variable gadgets and variable modifiers to do that thing. So normally you'd use this kind of thing for, again, some people use them for modes, things like that, or maybe keeping track of a persistent score or something. And you could have a character with its own variable of the name G, and make sure all the variable modifiers only use the here scope. And then this will only be affected by those variable modifiers in its own group, so inside the same character. So the character could affect its own variable, but not affect like some other copy. So if we copy that whole thing, put it over there, and we'll have this one add 12, and this one add 38. That one's set to 38, and that one's set to 12, and they're not affecting each other at all because of this scoping setting. Other gadgets work like that as well, like the health manager and health modifier. So the health modifier, if we give that a zone so it affects the thing. So this is inside this area, and from its perspective, it looks for health modifiers in the same way. So this isn't found inside the health manager's group, so it's not here. So powering this on doesn't affect it. If we had it on not here, it's not inside the manager's group, so it will affect it. And everywhere just affects it everywhere. So that works in the same way. Yeah, so if you have the modifier as not here, then it will only affect like other characters. So you can have the modifier inside a character that's swinging a sword, and then that sword will never damage itself because it can only damage things outside of itself. That would be a common use case for that setting. Like if you think about in a beat-em-up game or something, then you have like 20 different characters, and they've all got to not hit themselves, so they all have to have unique labels, and that's not doable, or it would be very hard to get it to work properly because of how the labels work. So this would just guarantee it all the time. It'd be very easy to set up. And if you think about stuff like having like 100 NPCs running around, and they could hit each other but not themselves with their attacks as well, and that could be cool. Wireless transmitters have the setting also. So there's a transmitter and a receiver, and we'll put that in there. And we'll put the zone like that so that it finds this is inside the zone of the receiver. And we'll give it like send it a signal. And this is the signal we're getting out from the receiver, like that. So while we're sending it a signal, we're getting that signal out of the receiver, as we can see with that switch. But if it's on here mode, the receiver is looking for transmitters, and because this transmitter isn't in the same group, it isn't counted as here, so it isn't affected by that transmitter. And if it was not here, it's not inside that group, so it is counted as not here by that receiver. We got groups marked by this paint, and this object here is everything inside that box, everything inside that group, including other groups inside that group. That's all counted as here. So this is here, this group is here, things inside that group are here from the perspective of this gadget. Because if you look at a normal character, like this is the top level group, and this is inside the top level group, and everything in there is also in this group. So all the logic and stuff is probably going to just be here. And anything, if you had like a chip as part of the hand, and that had like a modifier or whatever, that stuff inside here is still counted as here for a seeking gadget in here. So the health modifier there, if you have a health modifier in here that is in not here mode, this gadget is considered here for this gadget, even though there are multiple layers of groups. So yeah, it'll just work, and most of the time that's how characters and things are set up anyway. That's how groups are set up, where the kind of parent object, the health manager, is usually in the top level of the group, and then modifiers and stuff might be in subgroups. So it should just work just fine. All those gadgets have that added to it. Some of them work in one way, some of them work in a different way, but if you get your head around the idea of how here is defined by the group structure of your objects, then you'll be able to understand it just fine and make use of them. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something interesting. Go to patreon.com/TAPgiles to learn something new every day.